Welcome to Vice and Easy, your podcast for all things Miami Vice, with your host, Marina.
Hello and welcome back to Vice and Easy. I do apologize. I took a longer break than expected. So in my absence, I actually was able to go on vacation. I went to Buenos Aires and I went to Santa Cruz, Bolivia, and I had a really great time. It was a long overdue vacation. I've done a lot of work traveling and I've done a lot of trips back home to Canada, but it was nice to go somewhere completely different. I've never been before, and before my trip, I've never been to the Southern Hemisphere. So I had a great time. However, when I came back, things got really busy. Then I've been super low energy and allergies are really kicking in. If you can't tell by my voice, I just don't sound great. But let's get back into it because we're almost done, not just with season 5, but with the series. And I know my episodes have not been as uniform in release as they were in the beginning, just with everything going on with my new job, my new position and all that. But I'm going to be really sad when I'm done season 5. And I would like to do a few bonus episodes. I know I've been slacking on that. I have a few up my sleeve. And I think once I'm able to kind of get my schedule back into a groove. Also, I don't have as many work trips planned in the next couple months. So I think that'll definitely play into my schedule. Also, personally, I pay for Audition and Photoshop now. So I see the charge hit every month. And I'm like, if you're not doing it 4 times a month, this is how much you pay per one use. So that is also a kind of a good reminder. But without further ado, let's break it down. This week, we're breaking down Season 5, Episode 9, Fruit of the Poison Tree. Per IMDb, the synopsis is as follows. Crockett and Tubbs' effort to bust a major drug dealer are repeatedly thwarted in court by a shady, big-shot Southern gentleman attorney and his loyal protege, Lisa, whose father was a prosecutor murdered for crusading against drugs. As we open the episode, I am going to be a little snarky here. You can definitely see they're working with a smaller budget. We get recycled B-roll footage of the metro. People Mover, Metro. No, this is the Metro. The People Mover is a little bit different. Did I tell you I was able to take both in Miami? And I got caught in like a torrential rainpour one night. I just went out to go to like a vegetarian place just to get a bowl. And pouring, like sheets of rain. And I was like, oh, do I get the People Mover? And I forgot that the People Mover was actually connected to the hotel I was staying at. And I didn't want to run up the stairs in case I fell, but the bag holding my takeout food also ripped. Sorry. So take the People Mover. It's free. It's very small. It kind of just goes within Brickell. And then the Metro goes. That's how I took the Metro to Vizcaya Gardens. So the Metro is a little bit more expansive, but take the People Mover. Support it. Aside from that, so the recycled B-roll footage from Hostile Takeover, but we have a different song playing in the background. We have Desire by U2, which actually is a great song. Let me play it now.
Okay, let's go.
Now, to get back to what I was saying about the budget cuts. They had the budget for U2 in 1989. So I'm focusing the budget cuts more on set design and backgrounds. There is this party, get-together, festival, something is going on at a subway station. And there is a guy arriving by a subway station with a stuffed orangutan. But people are really dressed up for this activation, for this event. And it's not like a Union station. This is an above ground, I think it's the government center station on the Miami Metro. It's not like this is, Penn Station or, a historic station where there'd be activations inside. that number one, if you can go see in the gallery, which you can find in the descriptor for each and every episode of Vice and Easy, but definitely to follow along this one because this episode is full of looks. I kid you not. But what I'm talking about now is we have two previously seen fake companies. We have Verns and Bob's, which we saw in Hard Knocks. And then we also have the breakfast cereal seen in Line of Fire that Joey was eating from with like the punk rock cat lion. And those are on display by this Subway party. So I was like, okay, I do appreciate that it's sticking with like the cinematic universe of Miami Vice, but I also have a feeling it's just budget cuts. Like just take that design you had and go blow it up with the printer and then give it to us and we'll use it in the background. So the guy arriving with the orangutan, I know, guys, this is going to be so surprising, is full of cocaine. It is just a kilo of cocaine instead of the full shipment our man Enriquez was expecting. Who is Enriquez? Well, this is the big-time drug dealer who's being protected by the Southern lawyer that we spoke about in the synopsis. Not only that, Gina is on his arm. So this is also why Vice is involved. Gina's going undercover. There's a great GIF I made. Wow, I just can't stop talking about myself this episode. There's a great GIF I made of him just tossing the orangutan to Gina. But so as they're all scoping it out, we see Switek dressed as a bum. We see Tubbs and Trudy by a magazine stand. Again, I do not know what this party is. Kind of keeping an eye. And then Crockett intercepts a possible robbery. However, someone spots the gun that Crockett is pointing, starts screaming, and everything goes haywire. Their complete, undercover bust that they were trying to do goes haywire. So as our man, Enriquez, again, I will mention this the entire episode. This is why I'm a big proponent of the gallery. You need to see what this man is wearing throughout the entire episode. They're different outfits, but they are looks, honey. This man is serving looks. He runs down to his limousine to try to make a break for it, even though Crockett and Tubbs and Vice are announcing themselves as cops and to stop. His limousine drives into wet cement while this party is going on at the subway station. I understand nighttime construction for, rails and what have you. This is open cement that then turns into a tar pit. If you've been watching Severance, that just ended the season, the nighttime gardener, this is a nighttime gardener scenario. This is not something I'd expect to see in the middle of the night while a party is going on upstairs. And this isn't just, a bunch of kids hanging out and making a party. There are permits involved. People are dressed up. Our man Enriquez then gets out of the limo and falls into what was once wet cement, which is now just a pit of tar, ruining his white outfit. And then when they're at court after the cold open, is he wearing something different? Avi, but he is serving in another white suit while he has his big Southern time lawyer try to talk him out of whatever trouble's going on. Unfortunately, the trouble going on kind of gets intercepted by Switek. When Switek was punching in the number for the license plate, he made a typo. And the lawyer is able to use that typo to get him out of trouble.
Do you recognize this photo?
Yes. It was the car that Roberto Enriquez was in when we searched it.
Would you read the license number off this?
SSN 48Z.
Now, would you read the license number off the warrant, please?
SSM 48Z. Wait a minute.
Well, it looks to these old tired eyes like your warrant is for somebody else's car.
This is a typo. We nailed him with a kilo of cocaine.
But technically speaking, you didn't have a warrant, because this one's no good.
The bust was a good bust.
Ooh, it may have been a good bust, but the judge dismisses the case. Crockett, Tubbs, Switek, they're PO'd. Switek feels bad, but again, like, that's not his fault. There's no malicious intent in making a typo. It just happens. And that lawyer is checking everything with a fine-tooth comb. They cross paths in the foyer.
Be very proud of yourself.
I won't take it personally, Sonny. After all, I didn't write the law.
No, of course not. You just sell it out. You're not a lawyer, you're a pimp counselor.
Now that's enough. Sam Boyle happens to be one of the most respected lawyers in this country. And you are...
Now take it easy, Lisa. After all, he's understandably upset because we just kicked his butt.
You just lucked out on a technicality.
I'll tell you your problem. You guys blew it. You blew the bust and you're trying to blame it on Sam.
Now, after the lawyers walk off, it's revealed as Crockett and Tubbs are talking that Lisa's father was a very prominent prosecutor in Miami, and a good, honest one at that. Just keep that in mind.
Message!
And speaking of our big shot Southern lawyer, please take a beat before we cut to this next scene. I don't want to say I screamed. I definitely said WTF out loud and full stop. This next scene that I'm going to talk about is we have the great Tony Sirico in a carpeted, purple carpeted bathroom where him and his goon, I can't get over this. I'm looking at this bathroom again. Okay, so please, again, go to the gallery. The purple carpeted floor of the bathroom. And it's not just where the sink is carpeted. The urinal is on the wall with carpet below. Can you imagine how rank that smells? The mirror has actually a really cool kind of LED border that's like a cyan blue with the dark blue walls. That's cool. There is also a stall, and the stall does not have carpet underneath, but the urinal does. Anyone who's worked at any place where has to clean the bathroom knows that not too many people actually aim inside the urinal. I cannot get over this. I will keep talking about this. I'm just watching this GIF over and over again because I can't get over it. Again, I'm going to take it back. When your budget gets slashed, as all of us have had to deal with in our lives, in our careers, in our personal lives, you just have to make do. They're making do by just making this a bathroom. I do not know why nobody just put... I can't. I just need to stop talking about this because we are already at 14 minutes and I've barely touched the plot. I do apologize. As you can tell, I've been really tired, not really feeling great, very up and down, lots of energy, so I might be a little bit more caffeinated than usual. I guess I did have 2 Diet Cokes after 8 p.m. today, so let's see how this goes. What's the plot again? Oh, yes, they're meeting in the bathroom. In the carpeted bathroom. I'm just going to play the clip because this is hilarious to try to weasel your way out of.
What, do you take me for a thief? Sure, I had expenses. I tapped into the offshore account, but it was a temporary short-term loan.
I know all about your trips to Vegas. Show the counselor what we charge for unsecured loan. Oh, wait, Frank, what?
Now let's check in with Gina. Like I said, she's undercover. My note says the house is back. There's a lot of recycling in this episode, as I've said. As Gina gets out of the hot tub, you can't see anything. She has a bandeau covering her. I made a gif of it. You can even see. As she gets out of the hot tub, Enrique and one of his goons are talking business as Enriquez has white roses. He also has one in his lapel, and he hands her a white rose as they talk very sweetly, and he proposes a vacation. Now, why would he want to get out of town? I have no idea. Big time Southern lawyer. Oh, I forget what his character's name is. I know the guy's Canadian, McCaddy. Oh, Sam Boyle. Oops, sorry. This episode is either going to be 3 hours long or 20 minutes long after I edit it. Our guy is on the phone. He's really trying to use any goodwill he has to try to get some money. Is it going to be shady? Of course it is. This is when Lisa, once again, his protege, comes in and she wants to take him out for a drink. He's trying to play it off that he's preparing for a trial. And this is good lawyer advice.
You shouldn't worry so much.
That's what I get paid for, darling. I do my worrying here so I don't have to worry in court. Remember, cases are won or lost in the preparation. Yeah, I taught you too damn good.
This is an adage that I did not at all adhere to when I was younger. I remember my father telling me in high school, like, you have to learn how to study, blah, blah, blah. And I would just brush him off because I was like, whatever. I was smart enough that I could get decent grades if I actually applied myself. But I never prepared. I never took any of that seriously. And then later on in my life, I'm very much the opposite of where I don't want to say too prepared. Some of my coworkers or some of my accounts might come back to me on that. But I like to be as prepared as possible. And I like to make sure that I show it. Because I kind of saw how my blasé attitude only got me so far, and it wasn't going to get me any further in life. And that really hit home when you get to university and, you know, you're smart in high school and you're one of the top ones and you don't have to work hard. And then university hits and you're like, oh, I am nobody. I am not special at all. And even university, like, I wasn't published and I could have been, like, all these things. And to be fair, I got sober during that. You know, I also flunked a lot of courses and had to make up for it. So, like, I don't want to say I didn't have the time, but it just wasn't a priority for me. And it should have been, because the real world's a lot different. And I remember I read this quote from Bob Evans that there's no such thing as luck. It's preparation meets opportunity. And that if you are prepared enough when the opportunity arises, that may look like luck to others, but to you, you know how hard you've been working and that everything has led you up to that moment. And so I think about that a lot now because it's a very different mindset. I say this as someone who hasn't recorded their podcast in 5 weeks, but I just really like that. However, the scene gets a little weird.
Now get out. Oh, you're too pretty to be living here day and night.
Living here day and night. She lives with him. It's also in this scene that she's massaging him and she bends over, kisses him on the cheek.
Baby, your daddy did more for me than just make me a law partner. He was my best friend. There's nothing I wouldn't do for his little girl.
So the real question, is he banging his late best friend's daughter, who he also employs?
Fucking thing sucks!
Yeah, that's how I feel about that. I really do need to have a icky soundbite, but that will do for now. I also had to edit. I was really debating keeping in, but I've been giggling too much on this pod already. I couldn't pronounce encapsulates, so I kept saying encap, and I thought it was really funny, but I took it out. Maybe I shouldn't have. However, let's get on with it. Crockett and Tubbs are rolling in to try to get close to Jordan, a guy who dropped off the 1 kilo of cocaine. I will bring up Crockett's jacket. The fabric looks quite dressy. Like, this isn't a daytime blazer, whereas the one he was wearing at the courthouse very much like a daytime blazer. This outfit just seems a little haphazard isn't the word. Sloppy. It just seems as if, I don't know, it doesn't seem true to Crockett's style this season. Mixing this kind of like nighttime blazer with, you know, big metallic buttons and a design, and it seems like it's a silkier fabric. But the pale jeans and the blue shirt, like it just kind of seems like a little mishmash. And there's another blazer this episode that just does not work in that context at all. And I will say that Crockett and Tubbs, their look works. They're able to get a trip to the Bahamas, but not before our boy Sam gets in there, gets into a fight with Jordan at the hangar, and then shoots him. Oh man, there is a very great picture of Crockett and Tubbs making the call back to Castillo. Then we check back in with Enriquez, who is having a house party. There is a tray of cocaine, and I believe there are poker chips on this tray of cocaine. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but those do look like poker chips. There's just a lot of looks at this house party. My favorite being the guy with kind of the greasy ponytail and the white and black outfit. There is a great shot of Enriquez as he's in this room with Gina, and there is a body painted with different alphabets all over her body, but the look of Enriquez looking down with this puffy ass white shirt. It's not really the Seinfeld puffy shirt puffy, but puffy ass white shirt, again with the collar flipped up, with the white phone. I'm really impressed that he's matching his accessories. And this is when he gives a little bit of details of what's going to happen and where he's going to make this deal to try to get some of his money back.
Where's my merchandise? Good. There's a parking garage located at Brickell and 8. Meet me on the roof tomorrow at 3.
That song playing in the background is Walking Towards Paradise by Robert Plant. And I am not the biggest historian on Led Zeppelin, but Robert Plant's 80s solo career is quite interesting because I actually love the Honey Drippers cover of Sea of Love. And I remember hearing it, I think it was on 80s on 8, obviously. And I was like, I know that voice. And it's a great song. This one I've never heard before until this episode. So let me see if I have a longer clip. All right, another tangent I am going to go off on. So let's cut to the meeting where they're staking out this parking garage at 8th and Brickell. One of my favorite movies is The Boys Next Door with Charlie Sheen and Maxwell Caulfield. But this score really reminds me of the score from that movie. And you can hear them just like talking in the background about the plan. But kudos, Tim Sherman. I really like this one.
Lieutenant? Yeah.
We got a brown Lagunda entering the garage.
Attention all units. Suspect has entered the building.
Now, they're prepared for this meeting, but they're not prepared for the twist that comes when they move in on Enriquez.
You better have a damn good explanation, detective.
What's going on here?
I'm conferring with my client about his charges of police harassment.
There's nothing here, Sonny.
Well, just so you don't leave empty-handed, here's a copy of the complaint I filed in Superior Court charging you and your department with harassment. Now, after this incident, you won't be able to get within a mile of Mr. Enriquez.
Whew. Crockett and Tubbs are there to console her and to prevent her from running into the house after the porch and the foyer has been blown up, and oof, it's really tough. I don't even know how you get over that guilt. And not only that, he blew up at his neighbor's house, meaning that his parents are obviously going to realize and just going to run out and find out that this happened. Whew. But do you know who has no remorse? A smoking, cell phone using, adorned in white Enriquez.
Jordan's absconded with your goods. He just called me.
I kill him! That bastard's a dead man. Jordan's getting her face full of C4 just like that undercover bitch. And I got plenty to go around, my friend.
I don't know what accent that was, but continue.
You gotta get the hogs out of the spring before the water will clear. I don't know where the boys hold up, but what do you care? The only thing you got to do is get them back. Now just hog tie that temper of yours and start thinking like a businessman.
What does he want?
$1 million cash.
$1 million. $1 million!
Easy now. Hold it. Now you know that shipment's worth 20 times that. Doesn't take an old horse trader like me to see that he's got you over a barrel.
First, some notes. Yes, what is that accent? Also, the actor who is playing the Southern lawyer, Sam, is actually very convincing. His face looked familiar, and I didn't realize that he was Canadian until I was doing my research. His accent's really good. Not only that, it's those little idioms and sayings. I was like, that is a genteel southern gentleman. I also definitely see the machinations here of, just pay him $1 million. I wonder who's going to be the middleman of that deal and who's going to pocket that $1 million, because he is about to be blown to bits or chopped up by the mafia. Interesting how that works out. Then as we cut to the dinner scene, okay, again, I've already mentioned this case on this podcast before, so feel free, skip ahead like 30 seconds. This lawyer has a butler wearing white gloves, who I'm assuming is also helping to prepare the dinner, or he has a kitchen staff who is preparing the dinner while the butler is serving him and Lisa. Lawyers make good money. This I'm not disputing. There is a difference between good money and white glove butler money. This very much reminds me of Tom Girardi from, I like how I'm saying the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. He was involved in the case that was the plot of Erin Brockovich. And this man and his wife at the time were talking about private planes and whatnot. And they had this beautiful mansion in Pasadena. Again, the mansion in Pasadena, that makes sense. The private planes, multiple private planes, that's when it looks a bit sketchy. And it turns out it was an entire fraud and just stealing from orphans and widows, and knowing that Sam is in this debt and turning on one of his clients and killing someone to try to get this money to pay off the mafia because he tapped into the offshore accounts that he was laundering to go to Las Vegas. Actually, you know what? This man would be a great husband on the Real Housewives. Any franchise. Real Housewives of Miami, which is coming back soon. But that kind of deviant posturing of wealth through such nefarious means, perfect on the Real Housewives. This is when the dinner, again, this is so weird. I really want to know. I'm definitely assuming that they have some kind of I don't want to assume that's a sexual relationship, but there's definitely a lot of affection. And I think they've crossed the line. I don't know if they've gone all the way, but they've definitely crossed the line. Lisa's bringing up that, Crockett has reached out to her and has told her some things and about children blowing up that give her a little pause.
What's wrong?
Detective Crockett came to see me today.
He's a very determined fellow. He'd make a damn good trial lawyer.
That means he's a pain in the ass, because that's what my parents used to say to me, that I would be a great prosecutor and that I would be great at trial.
He was looking for Enriquez. Crockett thinks that our client planted a bomb at an undercover cop's house. Now, the cop's okay, but a boy was killed.
That's terribly sad. But after all, what can we do about it?
Well, Sam, it was just a young boy.
Darling, you have got to learn not to let yourself get emotionally involved in these things.
How can I not be involved when we are protecting a man like Enriquez?
Honey, you have got to think with your head and not your heart. Now, they don't have one whit of evidence against our client. And that undercover cop, I'm sure a lot of people wanted to send her a C4 surprise.
How did you know what kind of bomb it was?
What?
How did you know it was C4?
Well, I
Enriquez told you. Didn't he?
Well, you remind me of myself when I was first starting out, when you get on that high horse of yours. I used to think of myself as a white knight in shining armor with a sword in my hand. I was going to strike down evil. I was going to preserve the good. But after a few lean, hard years, I realized it's not all black and white out there. There's all shades of gray. And the most we can do is to trust our clients and...
cash the check. Is that it?
Lisa, calm down.
Okay, before we get on to the next scene, I have a few thoughts. I've been yapping this whole episode. Again, like I said, this episode's either going to be 20 minutes or an hour and a half long. You can tell that I don't want to say she's just disappointed. I think her world has been rocked because she knew what a good man her father was and what a good, trustworthy lawyer. The fact that Crockett and Tubbs know of his reputation in his death, that means something. So, and also that whole calm down. She didn't raise her voice. She just pointed out that he's a corrupt POS and the mafia's after him for stealing his money. So she's not wrong. It's just such a weird, empty, I think is the word I've been looking for, with just how it comes to his decor. And now we kind of see it with his soul. It's just empty. It gets worse. Furthermore, I just want to skip back to bring up the blazer that Crockett is wearing when he meets with her in the daytime. You can see the details. It looks as if it's a knit. A light knit, because you can see just like little specks of white. Assuming it's like a very lightweight wool for Miami, but it just, again, doesn't fit with the aesthetic. And I am a girly that enjoys a daytime blazer. It just, again, it just looks sloppy. And I really, you know how much I love Don Johnson's, the half-buttoned Henleys in the first couple of seasons that were brightly colored. And now they're t-shirts with the collar going all the way up. If they were V-necks, I think that would fit this aesthetic a little bit better, but it just doesn't jibe for me. It just looks like wardrobe just threw things at him and put him on and pushed him into the scene. It just doesn't jibe with me. And a man that handsome, you have to adorn. I will say, Amanda Plummer, I don't know if these are her own outfits, because just the juxtaposition of Gina's outfits this episode that are baggy and untailored and just unflattering. And Sandra Santiago has a gorgeous figure. Amanda Plummer's outfits. She looks like $1 million bucks in everything she's wearing, especially the white suit that you can just see like the black piping and the gold buttons and the black pocket square. And then this black dress that she's wearing at dinner, the lace dress with the high collar. I'm also, I put it away and like, they always tell you to get rid of clothes you're not going to wear again. And then I still think about this dress that was very similar to this, except it was a little poofy. I didn't fit into it anymore, which is why I gave it away, but it still makes me very sad because I love how this dress is tailored with like the high, I don't want to say it's a mock turtleneck, but with the high neck, with the slit in the front, the lace, gorgeous dress. Gorgeous dress. Maybe, you know, like she's Christopher Plummer's daughter, so maybe she has her own tailor, bought her own outfits, but looks like $1 million bucks. However, I want to know this scene I love. So now she and Crockett are meeting at nighttime. The orchid, the blue light illuminated, the glass with like little stripes in the middle, like frosting. Then the snakeskin folder, just chef's kiss. I'm going to look up who is the set designer for this episode because amazing. This episode too really speaks to me aesthetically and stylistically, I will say. And speaking of, Lisa is meeting with Crockett once again after her dinner.
I know this is a tough decision. I want you to know I think you're doing the right thing.
This is the telegram Sam sent me the night my father was murdered.
It's the police report as well.
I was in law school. God, I remember it so clearly. Midterms. I studied in the library until midnight. Came back to my room. There on the wall, next to the door, was a Western Union envelope. Stuck. Oh.
I'm sorry.
Wow. The Western Union telegram, that took me right out of it. Like, I understand if she was in law school, 10 years prior, 6 years prior, it's a better way to get a hold of somebody, but like, whoa.
I got it, thank you. Are you okay?
As if you have what you need, go.
Thank you again.
Grade A acting from Amanda Plummer this whole episode, but especially in this scene, you can see how torn up she is. She's doing the right thing, but she's alienating like the closest person to her in her life. She doesn't talk about her mom. Her father's dead. This was his best friend. So I understand that guilt, but just wait for it. Let's cut to the daytime. We are by the causeway when our boy Sam wants to make a deal with our boy Tony Sirico. And this is funny. I will say Sam's dialogue, again, so funny and so witty.
Thought you might want to take this here van off my hands instead. She's a honey.
You're a real comedian, counselor. Let's see the cash if I break your face.
Now, don't be hasty, Frank. This here beauty comes fully loaded. She's got factory air, she's got power steering, and 200 keys of Colombian flake.
Check it out. Where'd you get it?
Well, let's say I have a client who doesn't need it anymore.
Ooh, two things. The client doesn't need anymore because the client got intercepted at his hideout and confronted with Gina. I'll play that clip in just a second. But I made a gif of this because when Romano sees the cocaine, his goon, who is standing maybe 2 feet away from him, he snaps and tells him to go check it out. So it's just And the beat is weird. Like, the delivery is weird. It's too fast. It's not natural, but it's just so funny. It's like as if he wasn't going to check it out. He's facing the cocaine in the van, and they taste it, and it's pure. But I just thought that was very funny. But when Gina finally comes face to face with Enriquez, the guy that she was hooking up with, I'm thinking they slept together. I also sympathize with her because he tried to blow her up. But he's handsome, but yeah, I don't know. They just didn't have that much chemistry. She's beautiful, he's handsome, but to be fair, I guess her heart's not in it. She looks amazing in this scene. Once she gets out of those frumpy dresses that she was wearing undercover, she looks like $1,000,000, especially with the red nails. And when he comes out of his hiding spot, see how I just like inherited that southern drawl? When he comes out of his hiding spot and she greets him on the other side. Whew.
Go ahead, pretty boy. Just give me a reason.
And before we get to the next scene, because I really need to preface this, Lisa sees Sam making the deal with Romano with the stolen cocaine in the daylight. She sees them clear as day. In court, though, Crockett is on the stand, and he's using the information he learned from his informant. Of course, he will not name his informants. As we know, within 5 seasons of Miami Vice, informants tend to get set on fire or blown up, but especially when the informant is that close to the guy they're after. And like usual, he refuses to name his informant. We have our boy Enriquez there. Then we have a surprise guest, Lisa herself.
I shouldn't have, but I gave him privileged information.
Your Honor, I move that the evidence from the scene of the arrest be suppressed. Miss Madsen violated attorney-client privilege. All of the evidence seized at the boathouse is just fruit of the poisonous tree.
Ooh, episode name mentioned, and the other lawyer is trying to argue that phone numbers can't be privileged information. However, the judge lets Enriquez walk. Now, why would she do this? She is quite smart, and she is playing chess, not checkers. She goes to visit Sam, again, in his... That chair looks really nice. Is that an Eames chair? No, that's not an Eames chair. What kind of chair is this? I will find this out, and I will update you on Instagram. I do love just the white table where he does his work with very little things around. I don't even think there's a drawer. Literally just a writing desk. Nothing to put anything into. So she goes to visit him and lets him know that not only is Enriquez walking, that she told him that he ripped him off. So now Sam knows that he has a target on his back.
Enriquez is out.
What? How?
I testified on his behalf. I got him off, Sam. And then I told him all about how you ripped off his shipment of drugs.
Oh my God, Lisa. You don't know what you've done.
To the contrary, Sam. I know exactly what I have done.
Ooh, get him, sis. And if you feel like maybe she shouldn't have done it, she should have been loyal, just you wait.
A few days before my father died, he told me that he had uncovered something implicating a highly respected person. I never suspected that he meant Sam.
I conflated this with another clip I thought I had saved. The clip in which she realizes that Sam Boyle's Western Union telegram in 1984 was sent hours before her father was attacked. It be your own people. So her coming to that realization happens after the scene where Crockett is holding her and telling her that, you know, what she's doing is wrong by not saying where they're meeting, Enriquez and Boyle, and that her father would have, you know, stood for this. This wasn't the justice that he stood for. He was an honest lawyer, and like kind of guilting her. And then so seeing this deep betrayal really got to me. And again, she did a great job this episode. I am all for it. At first, when I heard her voice this episode, I was like, I could just be transported to So I Married an Axe Murderer, but she did a really good job. And I cannot believe, I'm trying to think of the proper word for this, devious, to murder your best friend and then act as an uncle / mentor. Remember, she was saying that she wouldn't have made it through law school without him. Possibly banging the daughter of the best friend you murdered because he was on to how crooked you were. Holy. Well, suffice it to say, Sam gets what's coming to him when he meets up with Enriquez by the plane. First of all, let me give you the comic relief. Please go to the gallery. Let's just admire Enriquez's outfit in this last scene. The long white scarf. I don't want to say it's lace. I don't want to say it's... My mother, if she is listening to this, would be very disappointed in me that I'm not correctly identifying the fabric used. But basically it's chiffon? No, but it is a textured long scarf with what appears to be a white duster or a very long, not to the floor, so might not be qualifying as a duster, but it is certainly quite long. And the lapels are silk or satin, so they're shiny and reflective, while the rest of the suit is white. This, I really would love, that's what I should do, is I've never hunted down people who worked on the show. I should. Part of me was like, you know what? A lot of people have either passed away or retired or moved on. Whoever designed or found these outfits, from what I was reading about Jeffrey Meek, who plays Enriquez, doesn't seem like these would be his own outfits. Whereas, like, I believe those would be Amanda Plummer's own outfits. I would love to know the inspiration behind them. But I'm going to be cheering for Enriquez at this moment because he shoots Sam as Crockett and Lisa are making their way to what's going down at this meeting. And the way he roasts Sam while he has been shot, chef's kiss.
Oh, where's the attorney? You're lying on the ground dying and still pleading your case.
Honestly, with how Boyle operates, I'm surprised he didn't try to say that someone else had it, because Enriquez still wants to know.
I'm going to ask you one more time. Where's Michael?
I don't know.
Wrong answer.
Enriquez, freeze!
This is a great shootout. We have a great score. Again, I am really vibing with this episode. And remember how I was talking about how Crockett's outfits have just not felt right this episode? This is what I mean by a relaxed daytime blazer or relaxed blazer. Crockett looks like $1 million as he is crouched on the wing of this Cessna, drawing his gun at Enriquez. Here's the score. As much as I really love this backdrop of the private planes and the Cessnas, naturally we know how this shootout's going to end. Hasta la vista, Enriquez. Again, you have to really commend a man to commit so many murders in all way. It's like, just gotta say. However, this scene also really stuck with me. Lisa's doing the right thing, but seeing what Sam deserved and what he had set himself up to happen, it still hits home as she sees his dead body horrified.
How'd you think it was gonna look? Pretty?
The placement of this score, again, you know how I feel about Tim Truman's Melrose Place score. This is very Melrose Placey for a storyline that's actually quite deep and dark. This man was a de facto father figure in her life who murdered her own father and has betrayed her for this many years, taking her under his wing, under this guise of being a good man because he's associated with her father. That is, and if she actually was sleeping with him or hooking up with him, my God, her entire world is shattered. Even though she did the right thing, I can't even imagine. Kudos to you, Amanda Pummer, because you pulled it off this episode. However, I think I would have loved to have seen you wear the white suit with the black piping to this one instead of the textured white suit. However, let's quickly get into it because I have been yapping this whole time. Since I've been yapping nonstop this entire episode, but I do want to give kudos to Amanda Plummer's white suit with the black piping and the black pocket square that she's wearing inside her office in the daytime, because I put her as best dressed woman for not just the black lace dress with the high collar that's split down, because I just think that's so beautiful, because she was also holding that snakeskin file folder at the same time. But I just think she looks great this entire episode. You can definitely tell that this is what Gina should look like this episode. Again, Gina, incredibly beautiful, but those dresses and those outfits are not doing it for her. To be fair, she is standing next to a man with multiple different white outfits who's just committing crimes and violent crimes at that in these outfits. I really want to know the backstory, and I'll report back if I can contact someone. And I was like, I don't care about the rest of the episodes. I need to know about this one man. Why is he serving looks? Who is this diva? Oh my God. And rounding out fashion, I will just say that Crockett's relaxed white coat. Jacket? That's a jacket. That's not a coat. In court, looks like $1 million. Him and Tubbs at the hangar, $1 million. Looking good as always. But again, they cannot hold a candle up to Enriquez. And then, in case you did skip through all my yapping, best dressed woman, I gave it to Lisa, Amanda Plummer. Best dressed man, obviously I gave it to Enriquez. I gave Crockett and Tubbs bestest dressed duo for the courtroom scene and for the hangar scene. And then usually I do best decor. In this instant, I did worst decor, which was the carpeted bathroom, which I can still not get over. And then a wild card, we have the guy in the white blazer, the black shirt talking to the girl in the tube dress with his greasy, tiny little rat tail. Now, as we move on over to music, I am going to go with U2's Desire. It's a good song from U2, and I will give U2 credit. They don't have the best reputation now, and I think everyone's still upset about that iPod. Was it after? It was after the iPod. It was just having that U2 album on their phone. But U2 in the 80s, like Where the Streets Have No Names, chef's kiss. And as we wrap it up, we do have some great lines this episode. So let's decide on our quote of the episode, here is option 1.
Sure, I had expenses. I tapped into the offshore account, but it was a temporary short-term loan.
I know all about your trips to Vegas.
And yes, I would also love to be able to expense sitting at the roulette table for hours in Las Vegas. Now, here's quote number 2.
Go ahead, pretty boy. Just give me a reason.
As much as I would have loved to have seen Gina gone her revenge on Enriquez and possibly ruin another fabulous white outfit, Crockett does explain that the hideout is full of C4 and that they would all be blown to smithereens, but I digress. Now, quote number 3.
Oh, where's the attorney? You're lying on the ground dying and still pleading your case.
Apologies to all my family members and friends who are lawyers who are not finding that scene as amusing. And with that, this is our quote of the episode.
Oh, where's the attorney? You're lying on the ground dying and still pleading your case.
And with that, we wrap up the episode. There wasn't that much Vice tea this episode. Like I mentioned, Amanda Plummer, naturally Christopher Plummer's daughter, and the McHattie, the actor who played Sam, both Christopher Plummer and him are Canadian. And I will give credit where credit's due. McHattie's southern accent was great. Again, I'm not from the South. I'm not an expert, but I believed it. I did not even realize until I looked it up. And with that, we are wrapping up Season 5, Episode 9 here on Vice and Easy. I just want to thank each and every one of you again for giving me your ears, for leaving me 5-star reviews, for subscribing on YouTube, for subscribing on wherever you get your podcast, and for liking and telling your friends as we continue to wrap up not just Season 5, but Miami Vice as a whole. And usually I am not as chit-chatty, but I will keep this short and brief as I have already gone way longer than intended. If you are curious about anything I was yapping on through the episode, you can find it in the links in the descriptor along with the gallery that I love to mention and talk up because I love clipping these screenshots and I love making these GIFs for you. And a lot of times they just end up stolen and uncredited on Reddit. So go have some laughs, check out Enriquez's outfits, and take care of yourself. Thank you so much for your support, and I will be back next time.
Hey, man, Miami Vice is #1 new show.